Hello everyone, today I would like to show you how to create this animation using Cinema 4D, Xparticles and Redshift Render. So let's go to Cinema 4D and create this from scratch. Okay, so this is my scene and let's make new one, and I just copy the model. I found this model on internet, it's for free. Let's remove all and create region for feeders. Okay, so we have to go to top view and choose join tool, but don't forget uncheck root null. With Ctrl I place it here and start to build the rig. You can control this with your mouse. I speed up this process and return here when it will be ready. So now we have joints for head, and as you can see we have to place them correctly inside the figures. Let's make this and go further with animation. Okay, so now we have placed all joints correctly inside the figures, and we have to bind them with the model. So let's select all, go to character and choose bind. Then we can check if it works correctly. Let's check this one. Yeah, it works. And to animate, I'm using Postmorph. So let's select this one, go to character and transform morph. And here we have to add pose for each. I'll create first one for the first finger. Let's choose first one and rotate. Check. Okay, now it works. Great, so now we have to make the same for each finger. Okay, now let's check all sliders, if they work correctly. Nice. Great, so now we can record animation for these sliders. Let's choose, for example, from frame 20. Let's move to 0 each slider and press record slider. Then go to frame 220 and record again. Let's check. Yeah, it works. Great, so next step will be gold bar and simulation. It's simple cube. Just I scale it, these edges, to make this width. Now we have to add Xparticle system. Inside XP meter we using object for source and choose volume. Great, now at this tab we change simulate to legacy to the standard simulate, it will, let's turn on the cube, it will help to get particles on first spray. And then we change red to hexagonal and turn off the speed. And now we can see real size of particles. We just see those. So to see real size of our particles, go to display and choose, we can choose circle. So now this is real size for X particles. And when you decrease radius, you will get more particles. But be careful with it, because it can be a lot and it can be too hard for your PC. Let's start with 2. Great. And I'm gonna add X particle stack for head. Collider, turn off the bounce, and add a lot of frictions. Also, we have to add gravity. We'll be using Nexus because it's much faster. With GPU, you can use standard CPU system if you don't have powerful GPU card. So let's check, and as you can see, we have a few problems here. For example, first one is our particles going through all geometry. So for first, we place head into connect object and turn off weld. Also, as you can see, it's going pretty slow through the particle size because we have too much particles for now. And to make test, we don't need a lot of particles, so we can change size by 3. And let's check it again. Now it's much faster, and now it, sorry, we have to place it here, sorry. Great. Now it works, but as you can see, we don't see any geometry because it's just flattened on the hand, so we have to add a few things to the optical system. And we have to change inside the emitter. We don't need a lot of particles each frame, we just need particles on first frame, so and the emitter first frame. Great. Now let's add fluids. Let's check this with standard settings. I've turned off my grids to see it better. Great. But now we have to add more viscosity to this. And on my setup, I use a PBD, so without any granular. We just need to add more inside settings, so we can add 10 here. Also inside the emitter, with extended data, with physical data, with fluid data, I add more. It can be like 100. And here for density, increase your settings too. Let's check again. Okay. And for next, let's add constraints. For first, I add surface. We need surface tension. Better. And then we need viscosity. Yeah, as you can see now, it's following the shape much better. So let's add a few things to the gravity. For now we add fall off. Let's make it less, for example 300, and make fields, liner fields. And let's animate it. I think we can start our animation on frame 60. Turn off all of these fields, and the last frame will be here. And as you can see, we have to reverse our field. To turn off gravity. Let's check again. Oops. What? Okay. But also, as you can see, the forming shape, because we have turning on fluids and other stuff right now. So we have to add this file of the fluids and for constraints. And let's check again. Great, now it's much better. You can add more viscosity to your setup. So next one, let's try add more particles to the setup. Maybe it's two size. Also, keep in mind, if you change particle size too much, your simulation can look different. Not too much, but it will be changed because you have more density. As you can see, now it's much better following the shape. Yes, that's worked nice. Now we can add OpenVDB measure. And add our emitter. It's too big right now, so we have to change a few things like voxel size. Let's turn on grid and check the density. So for point radius, let's use our point radius. It will be 2. And for voxel size, let's try 2. And inside filters, we have to add Gaussian blur. And here I think we can add a duration. We check and turn off particles. I think it looks nice. Okay, next part will be caching. You have to bake your OpenVDB measure to Alembic file, because on next step we will be using this measure for vertex map settings inside the hand. So let's return here after caching. Okay, so now we have our hand setup and Alembic file with X particles, and you can play it real time after baking. Okay, let's create a fire. I turn off all of these. So for connect, you have to add vertex map. You go to other text tab and choose vertex map. Inside vertex map, you can use fields, and we will be using all gold like point object. And let's check. Yeah, as you can see, we have this vertex map. Great. Okay, so now we can add fire. Go to the simulation text and choose pyro. It will be added immediately, but as you can see, it uses all geometry to simulate fire. We have to change a few settings inside the tag. For density, we add our vertex map, and for temperature, we add the same vertex map too. Cool, let's check it. It's not fast, and we use an object voxel size just 5 centimeters. We slower set it will be much longer, but it works for tests. As you can see, now it is simulated only on our vertex map area. Let's change a few things here. I don't remember exactly the same settings. We can just check it inside the regional scene. So I use it lower settings for temperature and for density. Let's try the same use here. Because we don't need a lot of fire and smoke, because this scene like pretty small scene, so it works cool with less settings for these parameters. Let's try. It's looking similar. Just a few things that I made in original setup. For smoke and fire, maybe on this frame, we add keyframe there and there. Go to 240 and remove all, sorry, not this one. Set to 0 because we want to turn off all this stuff. Let's check. So we start burn a lot with some smoke, and at this area it should be less, and turn it off. Also, we need to add a few things inside Pyro object for better smoke disappearing. Let me show you, for example. Or maybe we can skip it too. Let me show what I made for original setup in these parameters. Relative density is dissipation, and the second one I just set it to 10 to get less smoke in the scene, because it will be too much if we decrease this setting. For example, if I set it to 3, and here you will have a lot of smoke, and we don't need smoke into that a lot for animation. You can play with different settings, maybe add more fire or a lot of smoke. Just in the end, when you will be done with your simulation, choose your object voxel size, less number, better simulation. But it will be really long to render. For example, on my PC, it took around 5 hours. Yeah, that's pretty similar. Yes, you can see much longer calculation right now. So be careful with these settings, because your cache can be 10-20 hours. As you can see now, we have much detailed simulation. It can be very useful if you have some close-up shots like this. For some general view, maybe too much, so you can use bias settings. But it's pretty similar to original, so let's go to the export settings. You have to choose what you will be export. For our case, we need density, color, and temperature. We don't need velocity. So these 3 parameters, and choose your cake folder. Just press cake scene and choose folder when it will begin. Then you have to wait to the cake and return to this tutorial. Okay, so now we can go to my original scene, because now we have all stuff cached and baked, and let's check what we have here. Okay, so let's stop on this frame, and let me show you which texture and shaders I used for this. So I'm using Grayscale Gorilla Plus library a lot. So for cat model, I use it Grayscale Gorilla shaders. Let me show how it looks. So now we have our shift window. Let me resize. And you can create the same, just find textures in internet, but I just don't want to spend a lot of time for shader building because I'm using this one. If I remember correctly where it is. Yeah, I think it was this one. So I used this for hand model, then I used simple gold shader for gold bar, and let me show you how I made this volume shader. It's pretty simple too. Let's remove this one and go to Redshift, Materials, Volume. Let's turn on and place our volume to our Pyron. Okay. Here we have to add to the channels Pyro density to the scatter channel, and for emission I add temperature. Yeah, and that's all. I didn't change any setting inside the shader because it looked exactly the same like in viewport, so it works for me. For the visualization, it's simple scene. Let me turn off all lights. So I use a dub light with HDRI map. It's simple room HDRI. With standard settings, I didn't change anything for this one. Then I place one more area light to light the background. And I used a few area light to add some light in these areas, like from right, left, from bottom. With simple setting, just a few things for this. For example, for this area light, I just add less exposure here and here, and I use a spotlight to get some details on the background. I'm using Gobos texture from Grayscale Gorilla 2. It looks like this window, just to place on the background, and inside details I check softness effects Gobo and add a lot of softness to blur the Gobo light map. And one more area light for it's like general light on top to get more light inside the scene, to get more reflection there. So it's pretty simple scene setup with lights. Also for before render, I usually add this LUT. It's standard LUT in Redshift, so you can find it here. Here is without LUT. It just adds some color grading. And for camera settings, to get more depth of field, I'm using camera with focal length 100, and I added a few things here for flare, bloom, and streak. And at this part, I just turn off with keyframes all these settings. Also for depth of field, I use it bokeh image to blur our particles and get this like chroma looks. you can create something similar in Photoshop and add here. And my aperture is 0.5 to get a lot of blurriness for particles. And that's all.